crypto going to be bigger, only everybody using it on a daily basis. If we be able to find a way to let everybody using it on a daily basis, so that's going to be 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more, kind of like the bigger than that today.
And look, guys, no matter where you are in your journey to attaining financial freedom, you can never stop learning. And that's why each and every week I'm talking to some of the GOATs, some of the greatest in their field. And this week is no different as I'm talking to Kid Rhiannon과의, managing partner of CX Ventures. And we're going to talk about some stuff. Kid, how you doing, brother?
Very good. How are you today?
I'm phenomenal, man. And listen, obviously, as a journalist, I do my research, but you got quite the resume, brother. But before we truly dive into it, tell the audience who's Kid.
Yeah, so my name is Kid, managing partner of CX Venture. We are kind of like the early stage deep tech fund that invests globally. 70% we invest in the US world-class startup founders and helping them to expand globally. So that's in short what I'm doing.
When you say early deep stage, let's break that down for the audience, right? How are you guys differentiated from other venture funds?
Right, because in venture fund, we have multiple stage, right? Some investing in kind of like late stage, but for us, we invest in early stage when the founder have the great idea, they want to do that, right? So we're supporting them early on. Yeah, so that's how different. And then when we're talking about the venture capital, it's not only about any technology. Our firm focusing on deep tech, which is not marketplace, e-commerce, SaaS, but we focusing on AI, blockchain, biotech, robotics. So something that founder has an IP, right? Intellectual property backing as well. So that's a difference between general VC fund and deep tech VC fund.
I love it. But so before we truly get into it, right? Your background, you've done a lot, right? From, you worked in kind of the medical space. Talk about kind of your upbringing, or more importantly, how you've been trained and what truly led you to starting CX Ventures.
Yeah, so I born and raised in Bangkok, right? And then I always been passionate about technology and have been hooked on since when I was 19. Yeah, because I love Silicon Valley. There's only a few kind of the tech company, right, from Southeast Asia to be able to scale to kind of Silicon Valley. Yeah, I took that leap of faith. When I was in the classroom, one of my biggest pain at that time, is that I want to trade the stock in the classroom. And the only way to trade the stock in the classroom at that time is using Nokia black and white screen. I'm sure you guys remember Snake Game on Nokia, right? My teacher keep coming to me and say, "Kid, you're going to be a doctor. Why you keep getting out of the classroom every 15 minutes?" I said, "I'm sorry. By the time the class finished at 5 p.m., the stock market already closed. I always buy high and sell low every day. So that doesn't work." So that's why, me and my friends, we developed the first mobile stock trading apps for Thailand, which is later kind of sold to the stock exchange of Thailand, right? And sparked my mission, to be kind of the how I can make the bigger impact to the region. I went from building these mobile apps to studying medicine, right? And then becoming a doctor. And along the way, I pick up many skills, kind of many kind of decision making, data driven, right? But then after that, I thought how I be able to kind of bring this kind of skill that I built along the many years to not only helping myself to getting only richer alone, right? But how we be able to create a real impact for the local people here in Southeast Asia. So that's why I found a company called Rise, RISE. So Rise is consulting firm. So we focusing on only one thing, which is innovation and how to start the new S-curve for the big corporate. So we've been working with around 500 largest corporate across Southeast Asia to helping them developing the new innovation. So I think we can do even more because for Rise, we also help these big giant corporate spin out around 200 companies, right? But then we thought, how we be able to kind of doing more impact. So that's why CX was born around 2018, when I was at Stanford, right? how, because I see a lot develop in Silicon Valley, and how we be able to bring these technology from Silicon Valley to Southeast Asia. Yeah, tap into Southeast Asia and making this splash over there as well.
That's epic, man. That's a phenomenal story. And I love what you're doing with Rise as well as CA's Ventures. And the fact that, right, you were able to find some parallels kind of with your upbringing and more importantly, how you were studying healthcare. So I'm curious, right, when you're looking at a lot of these early stages, right, what promising industries are you seeing right now and technologies that you and CX are actually betting on?
Right. I think there's a few things, right? Because definitely, now, if we don't talk about AI, it's going to be weird, right? Because everything is AI. AI going to be kind of like helping, improving, make things even faster, cheaper, and a lot better. Yeah. So anything that is related to AI, we love to kind of like look and dive deeper into that, right? But then, apart from AI, I think there's a couple more things that we think is very important because when you thinking about AI, you're not only thinking about the ship and also kind of like the semiconductor that gonna the world need to have that a lot more. But then another thing is also energy, right? Because AI gonna consume a lot of energy. How will we be able to have sustainable energy? What gonna be the next generation energy source, right? Yeah, at CX we invest in the company called Taiwan Energy, yeah, which might be the very first company in the world, right, that be able to produce commercialized fusion. Yeah, so that's 24/7 green, right? Emits zero carbon or near zero carbon.
Bet.
Yeah,
I love
so
it.
our co-investor is Bill Gates' breakthrough energy venture. Yeah, so
Nice.
that's and apart from that, definitely, right. Healthcare is something that I really like because now you have AI. Now drug discovery gonna be a lot easier. In the past, it might take a couple of years before the drug or the molecule be able to get to the clinical trial, right? But now all the process that you take years to complete, now it's like only 1 year.
So one, we might have to nerd out real quick because I love it. So when you talk about kind of fusion energy with type one, like compare that to kind of what they're doing at like Oklo with nuclear energy. Because obviously when we're talking about powering AI, that is the bottleneck. We need a ton of power. So like, can you even compare that or better yet, talk about that really quickly for the audience, also for me?
When we're talking about renewable energy, right? So renewable energy, the mature one going to be like solar energy, wind power. Yeah. So, but these solar energy and wind power, we is the difference is that we're talking about intermittency, right? Because you cannot have the wind 24/7. You cannot have like the sun 24/7 as well. Yeah. So now, yeah, but the server, the AI, they're gonna consume energy 24/7. So what going to be the next source of energy? Yeah, when the sun and the wind is not like 24/7. So the answer is kind of like nuclear energy. So when you're talking about nuclear energy, yeah, like one end of the spectrum we call fission, right? So there are a couple company that doing fission already, and then fission is we're talking about what we call small modular reactor, right? But these
Gotcha.
small modular reactor, while the technology is more and more getting more and more advanced every day, but in the past, yeah, there's some kind of like the emission left, right? There's some like kind of like the sometimes they broke down. If you heard about Fukushima, like in Japan, that got the big blast, right? Or Chernobyl, right? So those kind of like the fission technology. Why, in the other hand, when we're talking about fusion, now the fusion energy is safe, yeah, and is there's no radioactive things left over. So that's and then it's be able to continue 24/7. Yeah, so that's another nuclear. When we talk about nuclear, we need to be clear whether this is fission energy or fusion energy.
What's so amazing is I'm gonna rewatch this episode to even take notes on our own conversation. I love that. So earlier, right, you stated that, from a CX allocation standpoint, it's about 70% to the US, and I'm imagining 30% to kind of Southeast Asia.
20% like the Europe and then 10% APAC. Yeah.
Okay, bet. So my question, right, is across those three nations effectively, or areas or regions, how do you actually see kind of innovation ecosystems evolving differently, especially when we're talking about like who's the leader in AI, so to speak? Like kind of what are you seeing?
Right. Yeah, and I think these two thanks to the US, right? Because I think US still the epicenter like of software, right? When we're talking about software and I think the US still leading the pack because you have great like the academic institution, right? Yeah, when I went to the US for study, I feel that as well that the level of like the academic excellence is there, right? So that you can produce great PhD, kind of like great professor and also great science. Yeah, so in terms of that's the first thing. And then when you already have that, right? So that's going to attract capital, right, into the country, into the region as well, because the capital, like especially venture capital, also like something that is kind of like going to be create something breakthrough, right? So that's I think I see that as US. While in Europe, I think Europe is kind of very big on another industry, which is climate, right? I joined Davos World Economic Forum earlier this year, right? So and then there's a meeting, and everybody, most of the people coming from European like leaders, they all said the same thing, right? No matter what the new administration in the US would be, right? They're still pushing forward with this climate goal, right? Net zero goal is still the same. So then, if you like building climate tech, right, or things that gonna save the world, like emit less carbon, yeah. So whether it's gonna be energy or food, right, because our food also produce a lot of methane, right? So then the food chain system, so that's bad for the that make global warming more and more, right? So if you develop something in this field like climate tech, European is something that is very interesting. Wow, if we switch the gear to Asia, so I think definitely like in Asia, not every country have a lot of money. We're talking about Southeast Asia, right? So that is still kind of like many of the countries still developing countries. So we don't have a lot of capital. We do have a very good academic like institution already, but not compared to kind of like the US or Europe just yet, right? We are getting a lot better. But then what we have here, I think, is the growth. Yeah, we're talking about Southeast Asia. We're talking about 600 million strong, kind of like people, right? And the growth rate is still like economic growth rate for the whole region is still kind of like 5% on average, right? So that's kind of like huge growth. Yeah, that be able to propel the region. So if you're thinking about growth, like Southeast Asia going to be another region that you should look at in terms of investment.
Thank you. Thank you. So look, guys, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have more with Kid of CX Ventures. All right, guys, welcome back to Financial Freestyle here on Yahoo Finance. And guys, we're getting in deep, right? We're talking to my guy, Kid of CX Ventures. And it's only right because you guys got a unicorn in your portfolio, and you guys have been an early investor in Solana. So one, let's break down your overall outlook of crypto. It's obviously timely right now, but then let's actually help explain what Solana is.
Right. I think like crypto, I think right now it's I would say it's too big to fail. Right. I mean, if you're
I like that.
looking back, kind of like 10 years back or like 15 years back, I mean, wow, they're just kind of like worth a penny, right? But now, yeah, like it's going to be kind of like the next goal, right? So then it worth more than gold already, right? So yeah, so I think that the crypto is here to stay. Yeah, and people gonna treat it as the another asset class that it can grow, it can kind of like disappear if there's no worth for the value for a user, right? So you be because in the market there's like thousands of crypto, right? But then how many emerge and how many be able to sustain their value? Yeah. So today, as we know, like the Bitcoin hit new high, right? Ever. Yeah. So that's something that proved that this thing not gonna go away.
I agree with you. I am a huge crypto advocate. If you could explain what Solana is to a eighth grader, what would you say if it in only like 2 sentences?
Right. Actually, like the Solana is a platform, right? So at the end, yeah, like we need the bottleneck of money transfer or do some transaction is the throughput, right? Which mean if you're looking at like the Bitcoin, yeah. So Bitcoin, if you want to transfer to your friends, right, it might take kind of like a couple minutes in order to do the timestamp and everything. But like Solana make it faster. So that's so then faster mean more people can use it, right? And then more people can adopt it, and this can be on a global scale.
I love it. Well, it's only right we talk about it, and I have to put you on the spot. If you have your last $1 million in your fund or less, whatever, right? And you can only deploy it in one strategy, and all else is equal. The team is equal, kind of their, competitive advantage is equal. All you're betting on is the industry. Will that be cryptocurrency, AI, or biotech? And making this obviously as a venture, you're talking about what's going to be the biggest in the next 5, 10 years.
Yeah. So I think for me, I mean, like I cannot as the fund, right? So we're not gonna put all egg in one basket. We cannot do that. Yeah, we need to spread the risk, right? Yeah, and then the risk. Let's say if these three industries, even one of them become unicorn, become decacorn, so then we got all the return for our investor. So everybody happy. Yeah, we don't need to. They don't need to have 1,000x. Yeah, probably 100x. Everybody already happy.
That is the right answer. You might as well go into politics after this because you didn't let me bait you. So, to the audience then, over the next 5, 10 years, without making an investment, are those three areas the biggest growth opportunities, or is it something else that maybe we or myself, for instance, I didn't mention? Is there anything else that might be pretty big in the next 5, 10 years that I didn't mention?
No, I think that three thing is very interesting on its own, right? So talking about crypto, I think is more about adoption. The crypto going to be bigger, only everybody, yeah, using it on a daily basis. If we be able to find a way to let everybody using it on a daily basis, so that gonna be 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more, because like the bigger than that today, right? Healthcare. I mean, take example of like the world's population. I think the world's population gonna get aging more and more. Many countries are gonna entering aging society. So now we're not talking about how to better treat the patient, but how we be able to prevent, how we be able to live long and live happily, right? So without any diseases, right? So healthcare is also gonna be kind of like super big, yeah, and definitely the way that's any industry gonna be super big, we cannot deny AI, right? So AI gonna be the integral part. Yeah, it's depending on how you be able to integrate AI and then make sure you get return, you get ROI, you get things like better for your audience, for your user, for your customer. Yeah, so that's gonna be, I think, like the way to make these three industry getting a lot bigger.
And what's your view on quantum computing?
Yeah, I mean, like the many scientists, we also looking at quantum quite a lot, right? Because that's a frontier technology. Yeah, and then I think once we be able to achieve quantum supremacy, yeah, so that's going to be another game changer as well, right? So yeah, but we waiting for that. We waiting for another breakthrough in quantum.
Kind of coming back full circle to venture as a whole, right? To the public, right? What would you say, most people are misunderstanding about the overall space?
Yeah, most people think about venture capital as just making money. Yeah, but for us, I think we're thinking about is not only make money, but also like bridging the gap between innovation and real impact, right? How? Yeah, because the founder, world class founder, gonna that have the IP, they kind of want to change the world, right? They have innovation, but then how that innovation be able to become reality? We need to fund them. We need to support them. So that's why what I like about my role and my jobs here at CX, right? Because we be able to meet great people across the world, where these people they want to change the world. to be the better place, right? Through technology, through innovation.
That's epic. That's epic. It's so curious. What is the one personal finance gem that you live by? Like, what's one of the best personal finance rules that you would want to kind of tell the audience that they themselves should follow?
Right. I think I learned this from my parents, right? So my parents are veterinarians, right? And my mom, right? Especially my mom also working as a civil servant. So civil servant work she's a professor, right? Work 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. After 5 p.m. she come back and open her own kind of like pet hospital, right? So from that's 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Every day. So I saw that kind of like working hard when I was young, right? And I so inspired because that's how I when I applying this to the investment, right? So we also working very hard, right? We also due diligence really hard because deep tech is not easy. We have many jargon that I throw to you at the beginning of the podcast, right? So then, how we be able to understand all of this, right? Or find the expert, find our investment committee to help brainstorm and then validate this kind of like idea. So I think still, yeah, most people thought, oh, work-life balance is important. For me, yeah, it's all about work-life integration. And I'll tell my team member, if you come here, you work at CX, there's no work-life balance. There's only work-life integration. Yeah, it's one thing. And then that one thing is mean working hard and then you create a real impact for the world.
I love it. So one, shout out to your mom because, what I took from that was having, she wanted to have multiple streams of income, right? Having one stream of income is too close to having zero. And then I love what you said, right? I saw a clip on social that went viral and it was like in an interview, if a candidate asked me, okay, so can you tell me about work-life balance? Instantly you're not hired. So what you're saying is, look, man, it's about integrating the work-life. It's not necessarily a balance. You got to keep grinding. So I love it, man. And I think you were a remarkable guest. I appreciate you for being here.